So this is actually video number 2. I'd already recorded a video where I played the Beatles' Revolution and I talked over it and pointed out things about it, but it's been taken down by YouTube. I think the Beatles record company, Apple, very careful about things appearing on YouTube. I'd like to think Paul McCartney was at home listening to my lesson and disagreed with me, so he personally phoned the record company and took it down, but I suspect not. So there's a picture of the Beatles playing in their rock style from the late 60s, about 1968, doing the song Revolution. Hopefully you've already heard it, so you can just kind of have a listen to what I'm saying about it and take what you want from it. So what makes rock music different from rock and roll music? Remember, the Beatles were coming out of the 1950s. They'd actually formed in about 1957, 58. So they were kind of playing in a 50s style, and just as their career developed, so did the genre of rock music. So imagine the differences. This isn't like Little Richard's band. There's not saxophones, there's not piano. They're not all wearing kind of tuxedos and look like they're part of show business. Part of rock music was that move towards a total guitar-based band arrangement. And as you can see, classic Beatles set up, 2 electric guitars, electric bass, drummer slightly more towards the front line. If you notice on the video of this as well, the camera pans around all the different members of the band. Rock music is a bit more ensemble based. This isn't Paul McCartney and the Beatles, John Lennon and the Beatles. It's an ensemble, and the drums are just as important as the guitars. And that's one of the aspects of kind of the rock genre, perhaps, that we're moving away from the kind of star centre of the industry to it being a band. And you'll notice that the drums are slightly more in the mix now as we move into rock music, partly because of technology in the studio where the close mic and drum kits, now every bit of the drum kit's being picked up. And the other thing as well is you can perhaps notice the casual attire of the Beatles here. By this point, the Beatles aren't wearing stage uniforms. They're wearing the sort of things they would wear if they were just hanging out in the street or at home. And that's the other aspect of rock music, this sort of connection where the people on stage are kind of reflect the fashions and the street styles of the fan base as well, a slightly more casual visual approach. So what about it as a song? It's got a lot of, as a recording as well, it's got a lot of 50s rock and roll ingredients. It's got that kind of shuffle, Chuck Berry, chord vamp, swings slightly, so that puts it kind of in that slightly more 50s influence style. It's got a Chuck Berry-esque intro that John Lennon plays at the beginning. So it's got those ingredients. It's got some vocal ingredients as well. There's you hear the backing vocalists in this particular recording, Paul McCartney and George Harrison going, oh, shooby-doo-wop, oh, shooby-doo-wop, literally saying the word doo-wop. That kind of vocal harmony style that we saw now in 1950s work from the band The Clovers comes into this performance. The Beatles were fond of those 1950s vocal style arrangements. And there's also some falsetto vocals, don't you know it's gonna be alright. And one of the voices, McCartney's perhaps, is slipping into a falsetto, so it's got some Little Richard ingredients. However, it's a very heavy recording. All the guitars are slightly overdriven and distorted. Although we've got the bass playing, a 1950s bass. It's got a lot of kind of bottom ends. You can probably see on the video Paul McCartney's going through a Fender bass amp. The guitarists at this point are using Fender amplifiers rather than Vox AC30s. Fenders have a kind of gain button on which allows them to dirty the sound. It looks like John Lennon's amp might even have looks like a red kind of pedal hanging off it. It might have a fuzz pedal on to give it that sort of distorted sound. And the other thing as well is that the subject matter of the song is moving into kind of the realms of rock music as well. This isn't the kind of She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah type song. They're talking about the current issues of the world. Young people were heading towards perhaps thinking revolution was the outcome to try and avoid the war in Vietnam and to try and enhance the kind of the Black Power movement that was going on in 1968. Martin Luther King had been assassinated, so Black Power, black politics had gone in a new direction that was slightly more assertive, not unlike the Black Lives Matter issues of 2020 for us. So the song's kind of dealing with social comment. It's reflecting on what's going on in the world, slightly more serious subject matter, even though the Beatles are actually saying perhaps we don't need a revolution, it's going to be all right. They've got a positive spin on it. But it's shown that music's becoming slightly more mature and sophisticated lyrically as well. So there's a few things to kind of look out for. It's that transition with the Beatles from kind of 50s rock and roll into 60s rock, and then in the second video you'll watch Cream taking it into another level that starts to sound very much like the classic rock that we're maybe familiar with from our own listening. So hope you enjoyed the Beatles video. Check out the Cream one next, and I'll see you soon.